What's up, Banter fam? Welcome back to the show. And in today's show, I'm going to be going through my ultimate L1 tier list. So I'm going to go through the top L1s and rank them in order of what I think is the best to the worst L1s out of the top 50. You can see I have my tier list here. In today's show, I'll be covering Ethereum, Fantom, Cardano, BNB, Algorand, Solana, and AVAX to see which ones fit into the super tier, which ones fit into the D tier, and that may be able to help you in your investing journey when you're working out which L1s you want to allocate towards capital towards. Remember, this is all my own opinion. This is just based on my own take on the market, so it's not financial advice. And I think the criteria for today's stream is a couple of things. The L1s that I talk about, firstly, they will be judged on their merits based on what they've achieved, so how successful they've been in the past, what I think their potential is like in the future, and rank them in terms of their overall ecosystem. So just because I think, let's say, Near Protocol might do more multiples than Ethereum, doesn't mean that I'm going to put it above Ethereum on the tier list, because obviously it doesn't have the same history and the same success to date in the market. So I think I'm going to be comprised of a few factors. Obviously, one being the strength of the ecosystem, two being its future potential, and three being the overall success of the chain. So it's kind of a weighting of all of those three factors, but I'll explain that as I go on. So for today's show, remember, it is going to be out of the top 50 L1. So the reason why Matic is not on the list is because I am technically counting that as an L2. The reason Dot isn't on the list is because I am technically counting that as an L0. So I've picked the ones that are actually L1s and I guess a pure L1. So I haven't included some of the other kind of mishmash layer 0 protocols either. In a future video, I will be doing a tier list for those type of projects. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Ethereum goes in the S tier. Ethereum has to go in the S tier. I mean, there's really no question about it. It is, firstly, was the first L1. It is what spawned DeFi as we know it today. It's the most popular ecosystem, and I believe the future will be heavily Ethereum focused. I don't see Ethereum going anywhere. In fact, post-merge, I'm even more bullish on Ethereum due to the reduced issuance. We could see here that the ETH supply growth has been decreasing, which means there are less Ethereum coming onto the market now since the merge. So since the merge, there's been 2,683 Ethereum added to the market. But if the merge never went through and we were still on proof of work, this supply change would be 573,000 Ethereum. So you can see just how impactful the merge has been on Ethereum's overall supply growth, which is very, very, very positive, because less supply means less inflation, which is bullish for the network. And I think that really it just boils down to, like, if Ethereum can exhibit such a strong supply growth while the market, such a decreased supply growth whilst the market is quiet, what would happen once the market gets bullish? What happens when there's tens of thousands of projects launching? I think that only means that Ethereum in the future will be a deflationary asset, in my opinion. And if it is, that only aids its case. So Ethereum number one, no questions about that one at all. Coming in next, I have to rank Fantom. This is a very tricky one, because I think since the DeFi craze on Fantom in January and February, it's kind of lost its niche a little bit. I do think the tech is very good, though. They're running on DAG technology, but they've proven that they are one of the fastest networks in practice. Whenever I use these EVM-compatible chains, Fantom has some of the least issues out of all the chains. It's one of the fastest. It has a strong ecosystem, despite losing some TVL. I think the only problem with Fantom is the question of where's it going to slot into this ecosystem in the future. We know Ethereum's going to be huge with those L2s as well helping it. We know that some other ecosystems are going more for like a gaming focus, NFT focus. So with Fantom, it's a really hard one to place. It's either going to be in B or C. I don't think I can give it A just based on the decline we've seen. I'm going to put it in C for now. Remember, C is not bad. C still could be considered great, because all of these blockchains I can make a strong argument for. I'm just ranking them based on the current state of the chain and also waiting in future growth at the same time. So I think I'm going to put it in C, but this may change. The reason I'm doing that, well, there's a couple things to note about Fantom. The first thing to note about Fantom is that the unique addresses are skyrocketing. Over the past few days, we've had over 2 million new unique addresses. This is largely because we had a new DApp deployment, which was that really popular DApp Zen that everyone was trying to use and bridge funds on Fantom's network, because they deployed on Fantom. So that's why the daily increase has been so huge. However, I think this is a bit of an artificial increase, although I would say that at least those users now have exposure to the Fantom ecosystem. I don't think that's something you can deny. So a very strong growth in addresses here. Obviously, a bit of inflated volume. At the same time, though, we did see that program that was launched, the 335 million Fantom incentive program. That's like almost $100 million. And then I think we've also really seen from Fantom a shift into gaming. I think they've realized we need to find our identity. We were the DeFiChain. We very well may be the next, the DeFiChain next cycle again. But I think, they need to continue to pioneer, to push for new narratives and really find their own, because they are an EVM compatible chain. There's lots of other good EVM compatible chains. So I think Fantom needs two things. A, it needs FVM to succeed, Fantom Virtual Machine to succeed, because that would give it a leg up on all the other EVM chains in terms of speed and scalability. All eyes on FVM. I think the pressure's really on for them to launch that, and soon, if they want to maintain their user base. And then the next thing is finding new narratives. And if we scroll through their Twitter, we can see there is a very big push towards gaming. We can see they're posting multiple games on their Twitter, and they're really pushing towards supporting these games. So we can see, if we scroll through their Twitter, lots of gaming news coming out about Fantom, and then also some other cool news. Michael Kong is speaking at Token 2049 next week. I'm going to that conference, and I'll also be at Solana tomorrow. Just remember, this isn't live, in case you guys have noticed already. This is a pre-record because I'm at the conference, but this is recorded just a few hours before it goes live. So all the information's up to date. It's just I'm doing it a few hours before because I've got dinners tonight, and the nights are really, really busy with this conference. But I'm going to be at the conference getting that alpha for you guys on Solana, and then next week we'll be getting more alpha on some other projects. All right, Near Protocol goes in A or B. I'm putting it in A for now. I might switch it. I don't know. I'm going to make adjustments at the end, but I'm just going to place them in like this for now. The reason it goes in A is a couple of reasons. A, they have sharding, and sharding is a technology that's not coming to Ethereum for a few years. So they do have a leg up from a tech perspective. Also, at the Near conference, it was made abundantly clear that this is an ecosystem where a lot of the new upcoming top dApps are going to be deploying. So we know Near has that really strong development behind it, and that is aided by two things. A, their $350 million raise this year, which is massive backing. I mean, that's almost in line with Aptos and Sui level backing. That's big VC backing. And also the $800 million. I think this might be slightly less now because of the Near price, but still multi-$100 million global ecosystem fund to really incentivize new development. So Near has been super strong on pioneering development and also trying to build out this ecosystem. Admittedly, though, after USN, we have to point out the negatives. There has been a significant decrease in TVL. If we look at all chains, Near, I mean, it's not very high. It doesn't rank that high. It's Aurora, its EVM compatible chain, or it's kind of L2 in a sense, has more TVL than Near itself, which only has 12 dApps. And we've seen the TVL halve after they decided to wind down USN. I don't think winding down USN was a bad thing, though. I definitely think this was the safe move to avoid any future negativity that surrounded something if it depegged. So I don't mind this because stablecoin onboarding is a pretty cheap way of getting TVL. So I don't mind it, but I do think it obviously has shown itself to be negative in terms of the TVL performance of Near going from 250 million to 124. I wouldn't worry too much, though. There are great dApps on Near. We know Aurora is home to some great dApps as well because that's the EVM compatible chain. And overall, I am bullish on Near's tech. A might be a little too aggressive. Maybe it should go in B, but I have to put it in somewhere for now. So I'm putting it in A, and we'll adjust later. Now, before I get on to the next one, which is Cardano, it's going to be so juicy. We've got to cover Cardano. I wanted to quickly give a shout out to the show sponsor, Nested Finance. This is a really cool project because what it does is it allows you to DCA or buy portfolios. So creators can create portfolios and essentially weight them however they want. For example, this portfolio here is DAI, Frax, and MI Matic, and that's weighted 33, 33, 33. And essentially it allows you to weight different allocations in terms of portfolio. So if you go onto their page of the main portfolio dashboard, you can copy traders, copy big portfolios. So this guy's rank 1. He has a portfolio here, which is a stablecoin portfolio if you want to diversify your stablecoin holdings. This guy at number 2 here has a DeFi portfolio with Aave, with Curve. So you can basically just one click and buy an entire portfolio, which is weighted towards these creators. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating my own portfolios on Nested Finance and sharing them with you guys. I am going to launch this next week though, because I need time to make sure I do my due diligence and I fully think out the portfolios I will be launching, because I don't want to just rush and give you guys a half-assed portfolio. I really want to make sure it's a good quality one, but I will be doing interesting portfolios in terms of like, DeFi portfolios, and maybe I do a gaming portfolio, just some interesting stuff based on what I think could perform well. So I will be doing my own. So in the meantime, you can check out the Nested Finance interface and have a play around with it. Build a portfolio yourself. I'd love to see your portfolios. And I think what I'm going to do as well next week is do a challenge where you guys create your own portfolios. I rank them live on the show, and the winner might get a giveaway or something. Maybe we give like $500 to or $1,000 to the best portfolio on Nested. So that's a cool partner, and I'm looking forward to that partnership because it's just going to give me more good content for you guys in terms of bringing portfolios to the show, etc. All right, now let's move on to the next one, which is Cardano. Now, this is a really hard one to rank. Why is it a hard one to rank? Because I said in this video that I would be ranking based on a few factors, fundamentals and past performance, including future growth potential. I think in terms of future growth potential, Cardano is not a great play. I don't think it's too EV positive due to the crazy market cap. I mean, if we just look at Cardano's market cap, it's $13 billion, and it has less TVL, if we go into the TVL, than Near Protocol at a market cap of 1/8 of the price of Cardano. So if we look at Cardano's market cap versus what is actually built and launched on the chain, it's quite bad. But the reason why it's so highly valued is because of the tech. People clearly value Cardano's tech. I think the tech stack looks to be good. I'm not a technical expert, but clearly it does have some positives in that respect, and also it has community. Now, what Near Protocol may lack, and the reason why I'm considering bumping it down to B actually, is because it lacks community. It lacks religion. Cardano has religion, and you can't deny in crypto that religion is everything. But I am going to put it in B because although it has great tech, potentially, I mean, we need to see it in practice, it doesn't have the ecosystem to justify the valuation, and that really knocks it down my rankings, in my opinion. If Cardano was a $2 billion valuation, it goes in A, but it's not. That's all factored into the price, so I'm putting it in B. It has to be above Fantom just because, although Fantom might actually grow more next bull run in terms of multiples, Cardano does have the much stronger community, the more funding, etc. So that's why I'm putting it in B. Doesn't mean I don't like Fantom. I certainly still hold Fantom, but it's just, it's a riskier play. It's a higher upside play, but it's higher risk. So I think it deserves to be below them for that reason. Next one's BNB, straight to S for BNB because, this is just an awesome one. You're getting exposure to CZ and the Binance exchange, which, to be honest, in my opinion, could even be a lower risk play than Bitcoin. Because, a higher risk reward play than Bitcoin. Because let's just assume the crypto market grows, right? Let's assume next cycle Bitcoin hits 100K. Where do you think people are going to trade? Where do you think people are going to buy Bitcoin? Where do you think people are going to enter the crypto ecosystem? They're going to do so through an exchange. And Binance is the biggest exchange. It is by far the biggest. And with FTX's issues recently, to put it lightly, I do see Binance's strength only growing. I don't really see a competitor here. And I think CZ is positioning itself really nicely to become that go-to exchange. And they've performed very well compared to their competitors like Coinbase during the bear market. Not only that, but you do get the benefit of the chain as well. And the chain isn't anything to snuff at. Of course, you get exchange side growth. But if we go onto the chain section, we can see that BSC is the second biggest chain. It's got 500 protocols. It's got $6 billion in TVL. This chain is being used, and clearly the Binance exchange is being used as well. So it's very, very positive from that perspective. There's also one more positive, which I just tweeted about, which I think is very interesting. CZ obviously is one of the people that invested in Twitter to help Elon Musk push the deal through. He just launched a Bluebird index. So what this is it's an index of assets, BNB, Doge, and Musk. These three assets are called Bluebird. I mean, what's the logo of Twitter? We can see in the top left corner. It's white because I'm on dark mode, but it's a Bluebird. So calling it the blue, hinting at these being the three assets that are used for Twitter payments. We know Doge is being speculated. That's why it's been running to be a potential microtransaction element of Twitter. Doge could be implemented, but also BNB, it makes sense that that's implemented because CZ is one of the investors of Twitter. So that is another very bullish catalyst. And also, he's really pushing for bringing and kind of bridging Web 2 and Web 3. And one of the ways he wants to do this is integrating Twitter into Web3. And if CZ is at the forefront, he said, we want to help bring Twitter into Web3 when they're ready, then obviously using Binance as one way to do this is going to be one of the methods that he uses here. So I do see BNB as being a very strong token. I see it having very good risk reward. I know it's a big call saying it could be better risk reward than Bitcoin, but I do believe that. And I think in terms of fully fleshed out, developed ecosystems with strong narratives, I mean, you can't fade BNB. And that's why it's in the S tier for me. In fact, it's probably above Ethereum as a whole. It's a tough one, but it just might be above Ethereum as a whole. So I'm going to put it there. You may argue with me, but that's that, and that's what I believe. And this is just a subjective video. It's not objective. It's just to give you an idea of how I'm thinking about these projects. All right, coming in next is Algorand. Algorand, not really one I know a lot about. So there's going to be bias in this video where, obviously, because it's a subjective video, where I might rank a token lower because my information gap is higher, because I don't know a lot about Algorand. I know the tech's fairly strong. I know the ecosystem's been growing, and I think the major reason why a lot of you guys are now interested in Algorand is because of this massive partnership with FIFA ahead of the World Cup. So clearly it has a strong narrative. I think Algorand and Nia are very similar in the fact that if you're not building on Ethereum and you need to pick an individual ecosystem to build on, you've got a few options. You've got Cardano, but not many people are really building on Cardano. You've got Solana. It's quite a strong. So I think in your portfolio, you kind of have to pick between one. Obviously, you can own both, but I view them kind of very similarly. But I do have Nia higher. So I think Nia, for me, ranks higher than Algorand. I think Algorand probably goes C or B. It might be a bit harsh putting it in C, but to be honest, the reason I do it is because I just have a little bit of a gap in my understanding with Algorand, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. If there's Algorand fans in the comments that want to give me some resources, I'm happy to reconsider my bias here. But for now, I'm putting it in C just because I don't see much being built. I'm not that involved with the ecosystem, although it has been growing. I just can't really put it any higher than Cardano. All right, coming in next is Solana Unana. Solana. Coming in next. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm at the Solana conference this week, so we will see a lot more about what's happening on Solana. I think the first thing to note is the Uber, the decentralized Uber that is being built on Sol. This is just an example of another real-world use case coming to Solana. So that is quite bullish for me because we need applications like this. And the fact it's being built on Sol over another chain is quite a positive sign in my opinion. So this was a really good sign for the network. I also think that Solana is cementing itself as the gaming chain. I think that's quite evident, and we'll see a lot of good announcements at Breakpoint. We know that Monkey Ball announcement's coming that Ram was talking about. And they're also making a push towards the mobile aspect of Web3. They want to be the ones pioneering mobile in Web3. They don't want to be the ones sitting on the sidelines and letting someone else do it. So they are taking risks here to innovate. And I really respect that. And I think like Anatoly and the founders, Raj, they're right on the money. This is exactly where Web3 needs to go. Web3 needs to be on mobile. And although the saga may not succeed, I do see Solana as the pioneers for this space. So given all that, given the fact it is kind of viewed as the gaming NFT chain, yes, NFTs have dropped off on Solana. The volume was down 70 to 90% over the past month. Not great. That's what's going to prevent me from putting it really, really high up because of the NFT volume. But I think it would be rude to put it. This is really hard, guys. I know I have to make a decision for the show. It's above Cardano. Whether it is above Nia is another question. Let's put Nia first, but let's have room for Solana to go higher. Based on what I see at the conference. The reason I'm putting it either at the start of B or the end of A is just because that NFT drop was quite worrying, the drop in volume, and we do kind of need to see them pivot a little bit, and we need to see continuous growth in this mobile space. That's why they're going in between B and A. I would put them here if I could, but I'm just going to put them after Nia for the time being. Remember, this is all subjective. And this isn't like a defining metric or anything. It's just to give you an idea of what I'm looking at. All right, next is Avalanche. Avalanche. This is really tricky. Super tricky one. Super tricky one. I think the thing with Avalanche is there's a few things. Firstly, they do have that identity as being kind of like a chain that can facilitate gaming. I think their subnet architecture means they're able to scale quite well. I think AVAX's architecture as an EVM chain, but with all these subnets, means they do have a leg up in terms of scalability. In fact, I'd go as far to say that AVAX is probably the most scalable EVM chain in terms of how they're built with that architecture. That is a real plus. Here's where the negative kicks in, though. I don't think just because you're scalable means that your token will accrue value. Because even in an ideal world where there's thousands of projects launching subnets, it doesn't necessarily mean that AVAX token accrues value. Why is that the case? Well, when new projects launch an Avalanche, they need to lock up AVAX tokens. But the tokens they lock up, that is the main way that the main token accrues value, because the tokens on the subnets are usually not burnt in AVAX. Gas fees are usually burnt in the proprietary token of that ecosystem, which is what we've seen because AVAX subnets can now let validators stake using the subnets token. So they don't need to use AVAX to stake. So this can be viewed as a positive because yes, it onboards a new project. If you can have an AVAX, if you can have the advantage of using AVAX as a secure network, but also use your own token, huge plus. But thousands of projects might flood to Avalanche. But the very fact they're using their own token detracts from AVAX as a token. So it's a hard one for me to rank because if I look at the ecosystem, I put it in A or I put it above Cardano. But when I look at the token's investment potential, it's probably not as high as some of these other ones. And of course, it's subjective, but that's just how I feel. I don't really know where to rank this. I'm going to put it in B after Cardano. There's things about AVAX I don't like. I didn't like that legal scandal. I didn't like some of the stuff that was said around the time from the team. I've been honest about that on my live streams. That's definitely a detracting factor. So that's why I probably put it in B. You can make the argument Fantom's higher as well. It's a pretty tough one. Maybe we put it in B or C. I don't know, guys. This is tough. This is really, really tough. Let's put AVAX and Fantom together. So I don't know how to put them together, but I'm putting them in the same bracket. I'm putting them in that bracket. And C is not bad, by the way. C is certainly not bad. The reason I have them in C is because we're judging them on the merits of their ecosystems. We're not judging them based on investment potential, right? Let's just get that very clear before people say, "Oh, you idiot! Fantom's got a 50x, and you're putting it in C." Like that doesn't mean it can't 50x. That doesn't mean it's a bad project, right? Doesn't mean it can't do more multiples than the S tier. This is just based on what I'm seeing in terms of the strength of the ecosystem. And of course, future growth does factor into that, but they're two different things. We have to weight them according to their merits. And that's why Cardano's at B, because it does have strong development, consistently top 3 in terms of development numbers on GitHub. And then also, you've got chains like Neo, which make up for that in their future, the future need that they could possibly fulfill, like with Neo Sharding. So, and the ecosystem being developed off the back of those huge grants. So, interesting tier list. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the description. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about a couple of these. Just before I head off, though, remember, DeFiChain, if you want to stake your Bitcoin and earn yield on Bitcoin and use Bitcoin in terms of swapping it for other assets, you can do so on DeFiChain. There's a link in the description to download the wallet. This is basically like your go-to Bitcoin wallet. You can put your Bitcoin in there, store it there if you don't want to stake it, use it to stake. If you want to swap out a Bitcoin, you can swap it directly on DeFiChain and have your own private keys, unlike an exchange. So link in the description to DeFiChain, a very cool wallet. And thank you for DeFiChain for sponsoring the show as well. I am going to do a tutorial on this in a couple of days to give you guys the scoop on DeFiChain. But yeah, I'm feeling a bit uneasy about this tier list. I like it, but I do have issues with it. So I see why some of you in the comments might have issues with it. The reason I have issues is because it's a very subjective thing. Like, if you're talking about what can do the most multiples, all right, well, we put Fantom up because it's a lower market cap. So we put it up, but we have to judge the ecosystem based on what's being developed. So we put it in C. AVAX, if we judge it on scalability, we go to A. But then if you factor in how the token accrues value, it probably does bump back down. So I get why it's subjective. I'm uneasy about it, but let's just keep it like this, and maybe we revisit it in the future. I think next video, though, I'm going to do an L2 tier list. I think that'd be really cool. But hopefully some of the info anyway in this video is quite helpful for you on Ethereum and Neo and Solana. I gave you some new updates with BNB, the Ethereum staking, deflationary mechanism. So hopefully that stuff's super helpful as well. And yeah, I'll enjoy this conference. I'm going to keep my normal time slot. It will mean some days I won't stream. I think I'm going to stream 3 or 4 times a week just for the next couple of weeks. So you might not see me every day, but it will be at the same time nonetheless. So I do appreciate all of you for hanging out with me, supporting the shows recently. Your support's been unreal, and I'll continue to make content throughout this trip as well. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.